Get up, get focused, and get into your passion, because we mow everywhere we go. Follow the Cairns in your life. When you're hiking, there's a term that's called a cairn, C-A-I-R-N. A cairn is a small structure of rough-hewn stone that's built up as kind of almost like a pyramid shape. And they are markers to mark the trail or the pathway. And so when you're walking on a trail, when you see a cairn, you know you're on the right trail. Here's an example of a small cairn right here. It's just a pile of stone that's built up. This is a very small cairn along this trail. You might come along areas where the cairns are built 2 or 3 feet high, where they're much easier to see. But the point is that when you're trying to get to a certain destination, this morning I'm trying to get to an area called the 7 Sacred Pools here in Sedona. And it's a rock formation where these gullies have washed pools into the rock. And it's a windy pathway to get there, with multiple areas where the path diverges into different trails. And so in order to find my way to the 7 Sacred Pools, I need to follow the path. And the way I follow the path is to look for the cairns, because there are areas on this path where it's pretty clear cut where people have walked, where the pathway goes, but there's also areas of large flat rock, and you could very easily veer off and change your trajectory and completely miss where you're going. But as long as you pay attention and you follow the cairns, you'll find your way to where you're trying to go, to your destination. And it's exactly the same way in our lives. We walk every day the pathways of our lives, and we get busy, and we get distracted, and we get to the point where we feel like we know our pathway. We don't need to check ourselves as we go. And it just takes one wrong turn, one misstep, one missed thought, and your trajectory changes, and you're off the direction of where you were planning on going. And when your trajectory changes, if you can't check it and bring it back, then you'll end up in a completely different space. So the key is, as we walk those pathways in our lives every day, follow the cairns in your life. Now, what does that mean? Well, what are the cairns in your life? On this trail, the cairns in my life as I walk this trail are these piles of rocks that I see on the side of the trail that direct me to know I'm on the right pathway. But what are the cairns in your life every day? For me, I'll give you an example. For me, one of the cairns in my life is Scripture. I try to stay as close to Scripture as I can, trying to understand different situations. What's that mean? What is the pathway this Scripture is telling me that God is leading me? Another cairn in my life is the words of wise people that I know also follow Christ. Listen to what they speak into my life every day. That's another cairn in my life. I may be going along and I've lost the pathway, and somebody who's a dear friend in my life will tell me, hey, you're off the path, you need to veer back on. That's a cairn in my life. Listening, reading the words of other people who are of wisdom and of knowledge is a cairn in my life. What's the cairns in your life? Because whatever they are, number one, you need to identify them. If I told you to go out on this trail and hike to the 7 Sacred Pools, and I just told you, follow the cairns, and you didn't know what a cairn was, you would have no idea. You'd see a pile of rocks on the side of the trail and probably kick it and knock it over. And you wouldn't know what to follow. But if you know what a cairn is, and you're a hiker, then you can find where you're going. In the exact same way, if you know what the cairns are in your life, and you follow those cairns, then you'll find the destination you're after. But remember those 2 things I just told you. Know what they are and follow them. If you know what they are and you don't follow them, you'll get lost. If you don't know what they are, you'll get lost. Know what the cairns are in your life. Know the things that guide you on the pathway that you want to go, and follow them. And when you do, make the most of the opportunities that present. Moyo everywhere we go.